And we have a studio guest, Attorney Larry Kelly from Luxenberg Garbett Kelly and George.
Okay,
good to see
never
you.
mind. That wall was.
You okay there?
Yeah. The
Okay.
chair shouldn't have pushed the chair that forcefully, but moving along.
All was good.
I don't know about that.
As I said, we're joined by Larry Kelly from Luxenberg Garbett Kelly and George. Good to see you.
Nice seeing you, Scott. How are you today?
Doing well by yourself. You have the Friday vibes, or?
Yeah, man, I love Friday. Thank God it's Friday. Somebody once said that. That's a great line. Yeah, I love Friday. Yeah. I love Friday about 4 o'clock even better than I love Friday at 9 o'clock.
I feel you there.
Yeah.
Now that I got to know you, everywhere I'm driving, I see your billboards for your law firm.
Well, I learned a long time ago, if you give them enough money, they'll put your picture anywhere, Scott. They would you'd put my picture on your shirt if I gave you enough. But we've been in this region a long time, so we've kind of become recognizable. LGKG been around 90 years. That's a long time, bro.
About that, yeah.
And, and when I say the region, primarily Lawrence County and Beaver County. We do a little bit of work in Butler and Allegheny also. But, so I saw a lady the other day. I had a doctor's appointment. She said, "You look familiar to me." I said, "Well, it's probably because either you've seen me on TV, right? We do some television commercials, or you've seen me on a billboard, or, you see me walking the sideline coaching Newcastle basketball." So I've done a little bit of all of that.
Equally important. And your law firm, LGKG, free consultation, no fees unless we win. I like that.
No recovery, no fee. Yeah, I mean, look, I don't expect you to, or any client, to put up any money, and that includes the cost. Scott, the cases that we handle, many times, we might have $15,000, $20,000, $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 in cost in a case because of the number of expert witnesses that we need to retain to make sure that your case is presented in the best light. We don't expect people to do that. They don't have the wherewithal to do that. We're big boys. We've been doing that a long time. And if we're not successful for you, not only don't we receive a fee, but we don't expect you to reimburse us what we've advanced in cost on your behalf. So there is no economic risk when you come to LGKG. If we take your case, then, we take all of the risk. And we don't take them all, Scott. We don't take them all. I tell people all the time, if you're involved in an automobile accident, hurt at work, or you think you might have a medical malpractice claim, you should go talk to the big box firms, those firms that handle 10,000 cases. But before you make your decision, come talk to us at LGKG, because we don't take every case. We don't handle 1,000 cases. That way we can give your case the attention it deserves.
What do you consider when deciding whether or not you're going to take a case?
Well, number one, the first thing we consider is the people who are injured themselves. They're doing an evaluation of us, and we are doing an evaluation of them. And I say this all the time. I've been very successful at trial. Thank God. I've been very lucky. No, not lucky. I've had good clients. And, we just won a case yesterday. Client was really happy about it. And I told them, look, this wasn't about me. This isn't about Larry Kelly. It's about you. We won this because you were an excellent witness, because your testimony was very credible. It's always about the client. It's like being a coach. It's a little bit about the coaches, but it's always about the players. Same thing in being a lawyer. It's a little bit about the lawyer, but it's all about, the people that he or she is representing. And, so we handpick our clients. We don't handle 1,000 cases. We're not a big box firm where you're just a number. Mm-hmm. We live in this community. A lot of these firms are from New York and Florida and West Virginia. Look, you got to live in Beaver County to know what makes the people around here tick. You just do.
True.
We're a different breed. It's Western PA. Let's just say Western PA. You gotta live here to know what makes these people tick. And we like to think that part of our success at LGKG is because we know how to win here. We know what is important to 12 people who are sitting on the jury. We know what makes them tick. And I believe that gives us an advantage. And not just as lawyers. I mean, I'm not just a lawyer. My avocation is I'm a coach. I'm a teacher. I've done all of that stuff. I've been in and out of these communities for a long time. I'm 72 years old, man. I've been here a long time. So I think my ability to understand the community and know what makes them tick gives you, as my client at LGKG, a better opportunity to win your case. Better than a guy from Florida or New York or West Virginia that doesn't really know. You think New York City and Beaver Falls, you think those communities are similar?
Joe Namath proved no, they're not.
Yeah. He was, Joe had swag, man. He was. I met him a few times. Pretty neat guy,
Sure.
Yeah. So yes, that's what gives LGKG, I think, the advantage. So yeah, you got a case, go talk to those big box firms, those people that handle 10,000. That's if you can talk to a lawyer. Half the time you're talking to a paralegal. But before you make your decision, come talk to LGKG. I can assure you, you won't be disappointed.
Now, do the members of LGKG, do some have specialties, like for a certain type of personal claim?
Well, we handle automobile accident cases, right? About thousands of them in my career. Workers' comp cases, if you're injured at work, thousands of those. Medical malpractice cases, thousands of those through the years.
I would think that would be a growing thing, medical malpractice.
Well, unfortunately it is. Mm-hmm. When Harvard did their study a few years ago, they discovered that 400,000 people a year die as the result of a medical error.
Whoa.
That's shocking, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, we lost 50,000 people in Vietnam, people my age, and it was a national tragedy. But to lose somewhere between 200,000 and 400,000 people a year dying as a result of a medical error, man, that needs to stop. And at LGKG, one of the things that happens is when we represent you in a medical malpractice case, we hope that not only do you get a financial recovery, but the hospital associations, and they're all hospital. I believe that AHN just bought Heritage Valley.
Correct.
They're gigantic hospital associations. Hopefully they learn something about what happened, why it happened, and put steps in to make sure that it doesn't happen again. I tell jurors all the time, when I'm in a medical malpractice case, 12 jurors, will decide what kind of medical care is acceptable in Beaver County. Mm-hmm. Is this what happened in this case? If it's acceptable to you? Because if you say, yes, it's acceptable to me, guess what? Next week it might happen to your brother, sister, aunt, uncle, or yourself.
Right.
You decide what kind of medical care is acceptable. And, that resonates with people.
And for something like medical malpractice or workman's comp or even maybe an auto accident, how important is having the paperwork and having the paper trail? And any recommendations you have for someone before they come to you? Or what are you asking them to?
Obviously, you want to call the police. Anytime you're in an automobile accident at LGKG, we tell you call the police. Get them there so that they can prepare a report. And, the first thing they're going to ask you a lot of times is, are you injured? Did you suffer any injuries? Some people will just say, I think I'm okay. They'll go home, and that night they can't get out of their chair. Mm-hmm. You should make it clear to the police if they ask you that question that I'm going to go get checked. I think I'm okay, but I'm going to go get checked. And you should go get checked because a lot of times, unless it's a catastrophic injury, which I've handled many of those, your injuries may not, reveal themselves for an hour or two after the collision.
You kind of want adrenaline. I've had that happen. I was in an accident. A lady ran a red light, crossed center lane, and hit me head on. And people at the scene were like, "You okay?" I was like, "Yeah, I'm okay. I think I'm going to." But something clicked in my head. I said, "Well, I better take the ambulance ride," and I did. And then hours later, I wasn't okay. You know what I mean?
It happens. I mean, so you should call the police. You shouldn't just poo-poo what happened to you from an injury standpoint. If you have a camera, you should take pictures. And everybody has a camera because we all carry cell phones. If you're capable, you should. A picture's worth 1,000 words. A lot of times, the liability portion of the claim, who's at fault, will be determined by photograph. So we tell you to do that. The police will get the names of witnesses and those kind of things that we will contact at LGKG later on. We will make sure we contact the witnesses to solidify what they said and when they said it. And that's important too. Those are the types of things that you should do. If you get a call from the insurance company, from the at-fault party, you shouldn't give them a statement. They're pros at what they do. They'll walk you down the primrose path to disaster, And people say, well, how could that happen? Well, the guy pulled out right in front of me. Well, the way it happens is, Mr. Smith, did you see the car pull out in front of you? Yeah. How far away were you from that vehicle when you first saw it? Well, you're guessing now.
Right.
You're guessing. Oh, you might say I was 100 yards when in actuality you were 100 feet. And if you were 100 yards, maybe you should have brought your car to a stop. That's the type of stuff that happens. How much time passed from the time he first pulled out in front of you, failed to yield the right-of-way until this collision? 10 seconds. It was probably closer to 2 seconds. Mm-hmm. But if it was 10, then in that event, maybe you should have been stopped. So don't give him a statement. Whether you call LGKG or another law firm that handles personal injury cases, you need to call them, and you need to be represented by an attorney, because the insurance company has about 50 that represent them. Want to make even up the side, Scott. That's all we're trying to do.
And in medical malpractice situations, you start getting letters from health insurance companies, and it seems like the language, they almost go out of their way to make it complicated and confusing. And
well, the first thing we do is get the medical records.
Mm-hmm.
Medical records are a little more easy to access today than it was 5 years ago, because all of these giant healthcare organizations have patient portals. And a lot of times, in the old days, we had to get an authorization, send it to the hospital. It could sit there for 3 weeks and then take another 3 weeks to get the records copied and sent back to you. Now you can go right on the patient portal and draw down not necessarily all of the records, but at least the relevant records that will allow you to begin your investigation. And then after we get those records, we have physicians that we work with on a daily basis who review the records for LGKG, give us their insight as to whether or not they feel there has been some malpractice care in the case, and then we move forward from there.
We're speaking with Larry Kelly from Luxenberg Garbett Kelly and George. We'll be back with more after this quick break.
If you own a company or a small business, you might have considered advertising on radio. It's smart because radio is still the most far-reaching media outlet today. WBVP and WMBA can get...
Remember way back when you were young and the bus ride to and from school set the tone for what made your day special? School buses and vans have had a special place in the Fry family for 3 generations. At Fry Transportation, the student transportation industry is embraced as a tradition, privilege, and lifestyle. From the morning laughs on the way to school to the talk about the day on the way home. Memories you won't forget, just like the vintage football games aired each week on Beaver County Radio. Fry Transportation, caring for your children as they care for their own. The Pitt Panthers are looking to improve off of last year's 7-6 record, and you can hear all of the action right here on Beaver County Radio. University of Pittsburgh football on Beaver County Radio is brought to you by the East Rochester and Tusca Shop and Saves, the True Value Hardware inside East Rochester Shop and Save, Dr. C. Timothy Lipp, Beaver Falls Athletic Department, the Fry Transportation Group, and Beaver County Radio.
Looking for a great job opportunity? McDonald's now has full-time and part-time positions available to fit your lifestyle and needs. Set your own hours and have a lot of fun too. Whatever the situation is, McDonald's has a place for you. Apply today at McHire.com. McDonald's is here for you. I'm loving it.
Pumpkins, pumpkins, and pumpkins. Oh my! Stop by Hozak Farms in Clinton. Enjoy the beautiful fall festivities like a tractor draw and hayride out to the pumpkin patch on weekdays in October. Pick out your pumpkin for Halloween. Hozak's Farm is open weekday afternoons from 2 to 6 p.m. Visit the gift barn and pick a gift for someone special. Remember, Hozak's Fall Festival is every weekend in October. What a great way to spend time with the kiddos. That's Hozak Farms, where pumpkins are calling your name.
Maplewood Studio, the home of For Those About to Rock Academy, Long Live Rock Academy, modern and vintage recording, private music, voice and engineering lessons, and all things Granati. We have deluxe rehearsal space already set up with PA, backline, drums, including food and beverage service. Free parking with easy load-in. We are in Ambridge, 20 minutes from everywhere. Downtown, Butler, Beaver, and Washington counties. 724-417-3100.
It might be time to repair or replace that old garage door. Call on Robin and her team of expert installers at Electric Garage Door Sales in Monaca. Dial 724-774-3200 and your door will work like a charm. Featuring CHI quality garage doors, LiftMaster garage door openers, and over 50 years experience, Robin and her team will get it done right. Electric Garage Door Sales. Give them a call at 724-774-3200 or find them online at electricgarageDoorSales.com.
Thank you for spending time with us this Friday morning at Beaver County Radio. It is 9:20 a.m. We are joined by studio guest Larry Kelly from Luxenberg Garbett Kelly and George with offices in Beaver Falls and Newcastle.
We got them all over the place, Scott. Actually, we have satellite offices in Elwood City, Cranberry, downtown Pittsburgh, Butler. So, yeah, we kind of serve the region. It just makes it easier for our clients. If you live in Beaver Falls, we got an office on 1126th 6th Avenue in Beaver Falls. Just makes it easy. And our main office is in Newcastle, but we cover all of the areas. Yeah.
Easy to find. To go to their website, lgkg.com. As we mentioned earlier, free consultation, no fees unless we win. 90 years of fighting for maximum compensation.
Well, I'm not 90 years old. I already revealed my age is 72, but I've been doing this 41 years. I'm in my 41st year, and there's no substitute for experience. I got a couple of my daughters who work with me, Lauren Kelly and Gianna Kelly. Lauren's been out about 12 years, Gianna about 7, and they still ask me questions every day. And I say, why? You know the answers, but, I think it's good to have experience. I've seen the movie before, Scott. I know how they end. You know what I mean? I've been watching these movies for 41 years. I know how they end. And, some people, that's what you pay for. That's what the benefit of experience, and that's another advantage to come into LGKG rather than a big box firm. Big box firm, they'll put you with a first-year associate who is wet behind the ears. At LGKG, when you call our firm, again, I've been doing this for 41 years. I think my partner, Joe George, has been doing it for 30. My daughter, Lauren Kelly, their combined experience is about 20 years. So, there's value in experience. Are you better at your job today than you were 10 years ago?
Yeah.
Yeah, sure you are. And it's the same thing here. Value of cases. My job is to try your case if necessary, and I've tried over 100 in my career. But it's also to protect you because, I can't let you walk blindly into a courtroom and get torn up by the other side because I know there are some issues out there that, will not be in your best interest. So my job is to protect you. A lot of times I'll tell a client, look, there are these issues that we're going to have a hard time overcoming. There is a reasonable offer on the table. You ought to consider it. But it's your case. It's not mine. It's your case. And most people, 90% of them take your advice. Whatever you say, Larry Kelly, you've been doing this for 41 years. I appreciate your experience. And some people, they don't. And if they don't, and sometimes I tell them, look, you don't want the value of my experience. I don't like having gray hair, but I've earned it. Then you ought to maybe go talk to somebody else. We've done that too.
Kind of walk us through the consultation process. So someone calls you and then they have a case and you guys, what are the next steps?
The first thing we do is get on a phone with them, kind of get a little input. And then we bring them into the office. Scott, I like to talk to people across the table. Again, big box firms, sometimes they don't meet with clients. They do it over Zoom or Teams meetings. I like to sit across the table from people, and talk to them and shake their hand and kind of get a feel for who they are and what they're all about. So the next thing that we do is we bring them into the office and spend an hour with them, gathering some additional facts and, getting all of the information that we need that will allow us to investigate their case. Again, in an auto accident, where did you treat? What did they do for you? Are you taking any medications? Are you in physical therapy? Some people will say, I haven't followed up because I can't find an orthopedic doctor. And we'll help them. We'll give them a list of orthopedic doctors in the area that we believe can help them. Once we gather that information, then we contact the insurance company for the at-fault party to make sure that they don't contact our client. We want them to know we're representing John Doe, and we want you to know that all future correspondence should be directed to our office. We gather up all the medical records. That could take a month. It could take a year. We don't attempt to resolve your case until you near the end of your treatment. You know, a month out from the accident, you may think you're fine and you're done, but truth be told, you may still be treating a year later, right? What looks like a sprained ankle sometimes is a broken ankle, and there may be surgery in your future. So you never want to resolve it too soon. You know,
is there any time frame, say in the case of an accident?
2 years.
Okay.
2 years in an auto accident, 2 years in a medical malpractice case, 3 years in a workers' compensation case to make your claim. So we gather up all the medical records. We make sure we have everything in-house. We package it up, send it out to the insurance company with photos, with expert reports, with medical records, our theory of liability, and see if we can resolve the case. Again, I don't have to try as many cases as I did in year 5. Why? Because the insurance company knows that Larry Kelly will try the case. I mean, the first case I tried, the offer was $32,000. I wanted $35,000, and I tried the case. And you know, only because I think an angel was sitting on my shoulder, the verdict was $35,000. But you got to let the insurance companies know, hey, listen, you don't pay what I think is fair, we're going to trial. And I've done that hundreds of times. And so therefore, I don't have to try as many cases on behalf of my clients today. Larry Kelly, because I've tried so many, they know I'll do it. They know I can get results when I do it. So the offers that I get now, I think are way higher than they used to be 5 years in, because they know who they're dealing with. And again, it's another advantage. You go to a big box firm, you're dealing with a first, second-year associate. They have no background. They have no reputation. I'm not so sure you're going to get the same settlement offer that we're going to get at LGKG, just because we've been around and we're knuckleheads and the insurance companies know we're knuckleheads. When you're willing to try a case over $3,000, you send a message out that to everybody, hey, look, this is what I think it's worth. If you don't pay it, I'll see you in court.
In case of personal injury, what are the rights for people? Like if you're walking on a sidewalk, if you're walking up the steps of a business, or if you're even visiting someone on their property, what protections do people have?
Well, I mean, as a property owner, you have a duty and an obligation to maintain your property in a safe manner. In a sidewalk setting, it is the homeowner's responsibility out to the curb. Not the cities, but it could be the cities. We had a case one time in Beaver Falls where the sidewalk was an absolute mess. Client falls, breaks an arm, gets hurt really bad. The homeowner doesn't have insurance. So now, you know, the next question is, can we hold the city responsible for what happened? Well, in the local Beaver Falls city ordinance, it says that we have an obligation and a duty and a right to inspect your property. And if we are dissatisfied with what your sidewalk looks like, we can fix it and charge you back for the cost of fixing it. So, you know, we went after the city of Beaver Falls, said, look, this didn't happen yesterday. This sidewalk had to been like this for 10 years. You have a duty and an obligation pursuant to the statute to do something about it, and you didn't. And so now you're responsible, and we were able to make a recovery against the city. So, but the homeowner has the first obligation and duty to make sure that their property is safe.
One of our listeners just texted me a question here asking, but call this up here. Do you have any tips on protecting yourself, like hiring contractors or handymen or people like that if you're a homeowner or buying a house?
I would make sure they have insurance, because if they don't do it right, you want the ability to recover from them. You know, I would not want to hire a contractor who was not adequately insured, because if he does something that's really bad and has no assets, or maybe everything's owned in his name and his wife's name, you're not going to recover it. So make them show you some insurance certificates before you start, you know, paying them money. That's what I would tell you.
Okay. Noah Haswell's in here now. We'll do news. We'll be back with more with Larry Kelly. Let me cue you up here, Noah. I'll give you the news. And including talk about Steelers.
Oh,
Right.
man.
Some Hall of Fame members.
That'll give you a headache.
The Aaron Rodgers Bowl as well.
Here you go now.
Beaver County Radio's news source. 99.3 FM, 1230 WBVP, and beavercountyradio.com. Here's Noah Haswell.
Good morning. On this Friday, October 24th of 2025, we will have a complete Beaver County radio weather forecast after we take this look at news. 21-year-old Khalil Mutadaber of Pittsburgh was killed in a crash that happened early this morning, which caused the eastbound lanes of the Pennsylvania Turnpike between the Newcastle interchange and the Cranberry interchange to be temporarily closed. According to Pennsylvania State Police, the crash happened near milepost 14, not far from the Beaver Valley interchange in North Swickley Township, and it occurred in the 2 a.m. hour. Mutadaber was a pedestrian who was walking west in the eastbound lanes of travel on I-76 East, and a vehicle hit him and kept going to escape the scene. The investigation into this fatal crash is ongoing, and the eastbound lanes of the Pennsylvania Turnpike are now open. PennDOT District 11 announced that tomorrow, weather permitting, a single-lane restriction on eastbound Interstate 376, Parkway West in Robinson Township will occur. From 7 a.m. to 3 p.m. tomorrow, a single-lane restriction will occur on eastbound I-376 Parkway West between the I-79 Erie, Washington exit 64A interchange and the on-ramp from northbound I-79 as crews will conduct bridge deck repair work on the structure over Campbell's Run Road. There will be an official dedication ceremony for the mural of the late baseball player Richard Dick Allen tomorrow in Wampum at 4 p.m. Allen, who played 9 seasons for the Philadelphia Phillies, was posthumously inducted into the National Baseball Hall of Fame of Cooperstown, New York on July 27, 2025, and the mural located on 331 Main Street depicts him. The artist of the mural, Ernell Martinez, and both the son and brother of Allen will be among the guests at this ceremony set in Allen's hometown. The late Pittsburgh Steelers defensive lineman L.C. Greenwood is still in consideration for the Pro Football Hall of Fame class of 2026 in the seniors category after a recent second round of voting from people from the museum located in Canton, Ohio. Greenwood and 33 others were considered as candidates for this honor. Greenwood was a 4-time Super Bowl champion who played all 13 of his NFL seasons with the Steelers. And staying in that sports category, this has been everywhere. The head coach of the Portland Trail Blazers and a player for the Miami Heat have been arrested along with more than 30 other people in a takedown of 2 sprawling gambling operations that authorities said leaked inside information about NBA athletes and rigged poker games backed by mafia families. Portland coach Chauncey Billups was charged yesterday with participating in a conspiracy to fix high-stakes card games tied to La Cosa Nostra, organized crime families that cheated unsuspecting gamblers out of at least $7 million. Heat guard Terry Rozier was accused of, in a separate scheme, of exploiting private information about players to win bets on NBA games. Damon Jones, a former NBA basketball player for the Cleveland Cavaliers and a former NBA assistant coach, was also charged for participating in these 2 schemes.
I've been saying you knew that was coming. There's so much money now. All these betting sites are sponsors of athletics. You know, they all have their pregame shows, and there's just millions and millions of dollars at stake. You knew it was going to take a turn like this. It just seems so obvious to me.
It sucks because the NBA season just got started, and this has been everywhere, not just like around the NBA. It's been everywhere on the news, so I could not leave that one out.
Yeah, when you lose that credibility with fans, that's a big issue.
Yeah. And in other note, let's hear from Lisa Marie with the weather.
Here she is.
Here's the Beaver County forecast.
Mostly cloudy today with a chance of showers. We'll see highs near 51 and overnight lows around 30. Tomorrow we'll start the day with some areas of widespread frost, followed by mostly sunny skies. Look for highs in the mid-50s and lows of 34. And lots of sunshine expected on Sunday. We'll see highs near 57 and lows around 36. I'm Lisa Marie with your Beaver County weather.
on this Friday, October 24th of 2025 at 34 minutes after 9. We've got a temperature of 42 degrees, a little bit of drizzle of rain out there currently in Beaver County. That's a look at the news for now. I'm Noah Haswell on 99.3 FM, AM 1230 WBVP, 95.7 FM, and 1460 AM WMBA, also streaming live around the world at beavercountyradio.com.
You're listening to Beaver County Radio, your home for local news, information, and music. Brought to you by Fry Transportation. Beaver County Radio and Fry Transportation, helping to make Beaver County a better place to live, work, and play.
Woolly Bullies is located in New Brighton, and we are celebrating our 20-year anniversary. We take pride in homemade food and live music. We also offer a variety of catering, from office luncheons to weddings. We also offer a private room for events for seating up to 30 people. For more information and menus, visit woollybullies.com or visit us on Facebook or Instagram. Stop by and check us out.
The Vault Recording on Neville Island is the state-of-the-art recording studio with an award-winning team. The Vault's 3 studios include a multi-room full production studio centered around a legendary vintage Neve console. The Vault also offers the region's first and only commercially available Dolby Atmos certified mix room and a post-production studio run by B6 Music and Post focused on ads, TV, film, and voiceover work, plus music production. The Vault works with artists and projects of all types, from singer-songwriters to full bands and large ensembles across all genres. For info, visit thevaultrecording.com. 9:36 a.m. Scott Taddy here, joined in studio by Larry Kelly from Luxenberg Garbett Kelly George, law firm with 90 years of experience fighting for maximum compensation. And during that news report, Noah was talking about Dick Allen, of the Wampum native, now Major League Hall of Famer, and that I saw you light up when he said that. You have a connection there.
Yeah, well, they at the celebration prior to his Hall of Fame induction in Wampum, they asked me to speak. And I did. I was a fan of Dick Allen. I was a young kid. He's a Lawrence County guy. My father, who sold insurance, was actually the insurance man for Dick Allen's mom. So there was like a little bit of a connection there. And so they asked me to speak, and I will be speaking tomorrow also when they are dedicating the mural. And if you haven't seen it in Wampum, it's on the side of a building. It is absolutely fabulous. It is so lifelike and a real tribute to Dick Allen, who last year was inducted into the Hall of Fame, Scott, but should have been inducted 30 years ago, after his retirement. His prime was between 64 and 74. That's 11 baseball seasons. There's something called OPS. OPS Plus is what it's called, which is the advanced analytical statistic for a baseball player. It not only takes, OPS is normally your on-base percentage and your slugging percentage, but OPS Plus is your on-base percentage and your slugging percentage, and then it's adjusted for the era you played in and the ballparks you played in. Dick Allen.
I'm trying to remember, Philadelphia, was he in Chicago? Or
No, Philadelphia.
Okay.
Yeah,
okay.
It was Connie Mack Stadium in Philadelphia.
Okay.
But Dick Allen's OPS Plus from 64 to 74 was 165, a hundreds average. Now, to put that in perspective, maybe the greatest power hitter of all time, Hank Aaron, he was 159 in the same 10 years, 11 years actual seasons. To give that more perspective, Willie Mays and Willie McCovey were underneath Dick Allen. Willie Stargell and Roberto Clemente were lower than Dick Allen. The great Carl Yastrzemski was below Dick Allen. 165 is what his OPS Plus was. In that 10-year period, he was in the top 10 in on-base percentage, or I should say in batting average like 6 times, on-base percentage 7 times, slugging percentage 8 times, and OPS 10 times. He was the greatest hitter of his era. And somebody might say, well, why wasn't he in the Hall of Fame? Well, Richie Allen, Dick Allen, grew up in the early 60s, and racial prejudice was rampant back then. And his first assignment as a minor league baseball player was in Little Rock, Arkansas, considered ground zero of the civil rights movement. And then Then they moved him to Philadelphia. And if anybody watched the show on Jackie Robinson, when Jackie Robinson broke into the major leagues, in the early 50s, Philadelphia was probably the worst city in America for racial prejudice. So this is where Dick Allen goes. They called him the Sultan of Sulk. They painted him as a bad boy. He was being tortured by the fans who threw bottles at him, drove in his front yard. His own teammate swung a bat at him. And Dick Allen was a Western PA guy. I mean, where racial prejudice in Western PA, at least to my knowledge and most people who are listening, did not exist in the 60s. So Dick Allen stood up for himself, he reminds me of the old line, the Frank Sinatra line from My Way, when he said something to the effect, to say the words you really feel and not the words of one who kneeled. That was Dick Allen, and he was punished for that. He was a Hall of Famer and should have been a Hall of Famer 30 years ago. They retired his number in Philadelphia, finally. The only player at the time to have his number retired without being in the Hall of Fame, and his teammates. I always say only the lawyers know who the good lawyers are. The public doesn't. Your teammates know who the great baseball players are and who were great teammates. And Goose Gossage and Mike Schmidt, two Hall of Famers, said that Dick Allen was the best teammate they ever had, notwithstanding the fact the press just painted him in such an ugly picture, and he paid the price for that. So, yeah, if you're not doing anything tomorrow, 4 o'clock, come out to Wampum at the mural. They're going to dedicate it. It's going to be a lovely day and a real tribute to a Western PA guy, who deserves all the accolades that he's most recently received.
What part of Wampum? Is that sort of by where the coffee
Main
shop
Street.
is? Okay.
Main Street.
Can't miss it.
When you get in Wampum, go down the Main Street, go down about 3 blocks, and you can't miss the mural on the side of the building. Yeah. So that 4 o'clock tomorrow, if you're not doing anything. And they've asked me to speak, and I'm honored to do so.
Good tip. We're here with Larry Kelly from Luxenberg Garbett Kelly and George, talking law, talking baseball as well. You're also a basketball coach at Newcastle High. But one question I wanted to ask: when your law firm is seeking compensation in a case, what are some of the factors you look at? How do you come up with the number that you're presenting?
Well, a lot of times it depends on the injury that you sustained, the type of treatment, how invasive was the treatment. Did you need surgery? Did you need more than one? Are there screws and bolts in your leg or arm as a result of that? Will that hardware need to come out at some point in time? How does it affect your ability to function? Will you walk with a limp the rest of your life? How has it affected your ability to do your job? Do you have wage loss now, and will it continue in the future? And if so, what does that look like? What are your medical expenses? How much of those have to be paid back? Those are all factors that not only do we consider, the insurance company considers, and jurors consider when formulating an opinion as to the value of your case. You
hear the phrase pain and suffering, and there's no easy equation for that, I assume.
Well, that's kind of like a catch-all for if you walk with a limp the rest of your life, right? If you have to wear an orthopedic shoe, if you had a head injury and now you're wearing hearing aids, you think guys like and girls, women. I had a woman who was like probably in her 20s, have a head injury. 20-year-old girl got to wear hearing aids the rest of her life. You think she wants to do that? When she goes out, and those are the kind of things that are considered pain and suffering. And in that case, again, I don't know too many 20-year-old girls that want to sign up to wear hearing aids, and we were able to resolve that case for a significant amount of money because of that. Those are the kind of factors that affect you the rest of your life, And I found that with jurors in trial, if you have those kind of injuries, real injuries, you don't have to say a lot about it. You don't. One of the biggest verdicts we ever got, in fact, it's the highest verdict in Lawrence County against a government entity. It was against PennDOF, a 7-figure verdict. Was a case where a truck driver had a head injury, And if you have a head injury, one of the sequela of that is it could change your personality. It's funny the way that happens. And, this guy who was 50 at the time, which I still consider a young man, couldn't drive anymore, lost his job as a truck driver, so we had wage loss. But at the same time, we let him testify, and he had the personality of a child. And we called his brother to testify. Tough guy, wore bib overhauls in the court, which was perfectly acceptable because that's who he was. And you could just tell he was a tough guy. And I told the jury about the only thing I said about the damages in the case is everything you needed to know about the man that my client was, you could observe in observing his brother. That's who he was. Tough guy, and this is who he's become. And it was so stark and obvious, and a multi-million-dollar verdict.
Ask you another question that's popped in my head. In jury selection, what are you looking for when you're looking for jurors? Is there a certain
reasonable people who want to be there, people who want to do the right thing? I like to have people there who, will pay attention, listen to the facts, apply the law as the judge gives it to them, and do the right thing. They're not flippant. They're not just looking at their watch ready to get out of there, because when your client goes to trial, it's the only time he's going to be there. If he doesn't like the result or she doesn't like the result, can't come back. So I want people who are attentive, who care about what they do, and who really care about making the right decision. I find those are the best jurors.
From a personal experience, I was under consideration for a jury, and both lawyers were represented there, of course. And the question was, do you have faith in insurance companies? And I went off on a tangent how I was having a fight with my insurance company about something. And one lawyer was like writing furiously everything I said, and the other one kind of had a look like, and I don't know, why was the one writing, was that?
Well, it might have been a case where the insurance company was the defendant.
Okay.
And so you have, as most people do with insurance companies, an inherent bias. Look, insurance companies, they're in the business to collect your premium, not pay your claim. You pay that premium every month for years and years, and all of a sudden you have a claim. The wind blows the roof off your house, and you call them up and they say, "Oh, I'm sorry, that's not covered," or "We're going to pay you, but we're only going to pay you half of what the cost of the replacement is." Those are the kind of things that get people up in arms about insurance companies. If insurance companies were fair and equitable, Larry Kelly and LGKG would not be necessary. We're the regulatory agency for them. We make sure they do what they say they're going to do, right? State Farm, good neighbor. We make sure at LGKG they're good neighbors. Nationwide, we're on your side. At LGKG, Larry Kelly and the other lawyers make sure they're on your side. Allstate, the good hands people, we make sure that our clients are in good hands when you hire LGKG, and Allstate's on the other side.
Because I do wonder when I watch TV and I see their commercials, they're running during the Super Bowl and other games, where are they getting the money to be running those commercials?
I think it was 2 years ago, the net profits at State Farm were $3.1 billion. Billion with a B, my man, a couple years ago. I check it every year. I haven't checked it recently, but $3.1 billion. That's even more money than you have, Scott.
Yeah, a little bit. We'll be back for more with Larry Kelly from LGKG in one moment.
One of the greatest honors a person can receive is to be gathered with their people at the time of their passing. Even biblical authors, when they wanted to explain what it meant to have lived a great, prosperous, and meaningful life, spoke of the individual as having lived a long time and being gathered with friends and relatives near as they closed out their twilight years. Being gathered together with loved ones is something that the J&J Spratt Funeral Home takes very seriously as well. The comfort both given and received cannot be underestimated. J&J Spratt Funeral Home also knows that the honor shown to a loved one at their time of need in this manner is still the right thing to do today. J&J Spratt Funeral Home has been gathering together with area families for 4 generations and looks forward to honoring future residents deserving of being gathered together with friends and family. Click jjsprattfh.com.
Patriot Home Care is now hiring caregivers. Are you a caring and compassionate individual looking for a reliable income with benefits? Then call Patriot Home Care today. Benefits include health insurance, life insurance, paid vacation after 1 year, and 1.5 times hourly pay for overtime plus holiday hours. Patriot Home Care employees provide personal care, conversation and companionship, medication reminders, light housekeeping and laundry, meal preparation, and errands. Start your career in home care today and call Patriot Home Care at 724-506-8911 or apply online at patriothomecare.org.
Dueling pianos are back. Pete Moran, the piano-playing ace who entertained countless people at Pittsburgh places like Station Square's Jelly Rolls, Sing Sing, and Charlie Murdoch's, gets back on stage at Jurgles Rhythm Grill in Warrendale. Pete squares off dueling piano style against fellow piano wizards like Hermie Granati and Wiz, the former keyboardist for Grand Funk's Mark Farner. Catch Dueling Pianos on November 4th, November 18th, and December 9 at Jurgles with free admission.
Beaver County Radio's 78th year of broadcasting high school football continues this Friday night at 6:30 p.m. This week, we are headed to a key matchup in the MAC that will help decide playoff seeding as the Beaver Falls Tigers will be hosting Elwood City. Join Robert Mangino and Mike Azadian as they call all the action from Reeves Stadium on the campus of Geneva College in Beaver Falls. Derek Rossiter will have the Latham team at eXp Realty sideline reports throughout the game, and we'll have the Boom Pow report from another key matchup. The audio and video coverage gets underway with a 6:30 p.m. pregame and kickoff set for just after 7. You can watch the game on Facebook Live or on our YouTube channel. You can listen to the games on 99.3 and 95.7 FM, along with 1230 WBVP, 1460 WMBA, and BeaverCountyRadio.com. High school football coverage on Beaver County Radio is brought to you in part by All Access Auto, Fisher's Foodland, Drug Free Aliquippa, McGee Heating and Air Conditioning, St. Barnabas Health System, the Fry Transportation Group, and Beaver County Radio.
Beaver Falls, Elwood City. It's going to be a good game. Any thoughts there, Larry
That's
Kelly?
a big game, yeah. I think the winner goes to the playoffs. The loser maybe not.
Right.
It's a big game. You know, it's a little bit of a rivalry. These are two communities that are pretty close to each other. So I think the game's at Beaver Falls, if I'm not mistaken. So, yeah, Beaver Falls started the season slowly, but has turned it around, and same for Elwood City. They started a little slowly. So should be a good game. Great night for high school football tonight.
Game's actually going to be at Geneva College, and busy weekend there. They also have their homecoming on Saturday.
Yeah,
so,
Reeves Stadium, man.
Yeah.
It's a lot of history there. We spoke of Joe Namath. I think he played there in 1960. So think about that for a while, man.
People still talk about that 1960 team. Linwood Alford, his receiver.
Yeah,
and,
his buddy Linwood was on that team. Yeah, they were the Whippeal champs, and that was the start of Joe Namath's career. Yeah, in Western PA. Yeah, how many years ago is that? 40, 50, 65 years ago?
Hard to believe.
Ouch. Yeah, that's a long time.
I know you're a football guy. Any thoughts, too, about Aaron Rodgers going up against the Packers?
Yeah, you know, he said it's not a big deal. It's not a grudge match, but I think it is. You always want to beat the team that let you go because they had a new toy in the cabinet. You know, Jalen Lowe was a new quarterback, and you know they figure he's going to take Aaron Rodgers' spot. So I'm sure Aaron Rodgers, just like he did against the Jets, wants to prove he can still play.
Yeah.
So that ought to be interesting. And it's a big game for the Steelers. I think this will be a portent of what's happening the rest of the year. Green Bay's good. Another game like we had against Cincinnati defensively. Oh, man, that's going to get ugly. We can't have that. Yeah.
Tough part of the schedule, too. The LA Chargers coming up. Indianapolis
they got
Colts.
Indianapolis after this week, next week. They're the number one offense in football. And, you know, Cincinnati put up, 32 against us, something like that. If we don't tighten things down, Indianapolis might put up 100. Yeah.
We're joined by Larry Kelly from LGKG, Luxenberg Garbett Kelly and George. For a free consultation, you can schedule that at their website, lgkg.com, or call 724-658-8535. Got a nice website. Very easy to access.
Of course, we get it professionally designed. And, right, if you think you have a claim, call us. There's no fee. It costs you nothing to talk to us on the phone, and we'll probably bring you into the office and chat with you to see, whether or not there's a claim and whether or not it's a claim worth pursuing. We do that often. And, most of the time if we bring you in, we're going to take the case and we just want to gather some additional information that will allow us to be successful on your behalf. But it costs you nothing. I like to talk to people. I talk to a lot of people. My wife says I can talk 10 minutes to a wrong number. When that guy calls up your house and says, "Is this Joe's Bar and Grill?" I don't just say, "Hey, no, buddy, you got the wrong number." We chat for about 5-10 minutes, and then I say, "Hey, buddy, you got the wrong number." So, Larry Kelly, if that's the worst thing I do in my married life, I guess I've had a pretty good run.
Good point. You even have online. You have a start chat. You can do a live chat.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Online,
some people,
right?
People do that a lot. People do that a lot, and then we get the chat, and oftentimes we'll call you shortly thereafter. But the initial, a lot of people don't want to pick up the phone and call somebody, so at least initially they'll type it in a chat or talk to somebody quickly in a chat. And then we get that information and call you back right away.
As you mentioned earlier, you like to do the face-to-face, the sit-down.
I'm an old school guy, Scott. I like sitting across the table from people, shaking their hands, let them see me. I want to see them, get a feel for who they are and what they're all about. And you should get a feel for who Larry Kelly is and the rest of the lawyers at LGKG, who we are, what we're all about. Like I said, if you're in an accident, you have a work injury, you should call those big box firms. You should. But before you make your decision, you should call LGKG. I assure you, you won't be disappointed because unlike those guys, we don't handle 1,000 cases. We handpick our clients, and if we pick you as a client, you can be assured your case is going to get the attention that it deserves. That's just the way it works at LGKG, and that's the way it's worked for 90 years.
Because we hear the term talking about doctors' bedside manner, but lawyers, it's a similar thing. When I meet a lawyer, I want to get a sense for their, approachability, their comfort level, their confidence, their.
It's different at our firms. Again, small firm, our clients become like family. I mean, I see clients that I've had 30 years ago. We still chat, and I tell people, when I'm done with your case, I'm your lawyer forever. Larry Kelly's your lawyer forever. You need something, you call me. And every once in a while, I'll just stop by the office. We'll chat. I want to know how you're doing, how you're feeling. Those kids that were 5 years old at the time your case started might be 10 now. They playing ball somewhere? Can I go watch them? I do that all the time. I get in my car, I go watch clients' kids play ball and do that. I enjoy it immensely, and it's just part of the deal at LGKG, Scott. It's what makes us different.
Okay. Well, in the minute or so we have left, Larry, anything else important you want to say about your firm? Or?
That's it, bro. We talked about everything that needs to be talked about. If you need to reach us, we got offices, again, in Beaver Falls, in Newcastle, Elwood City, for those people who live in the Beaver County area. The Beaver Falls number is 724-846-4400. That number will bring us and reach us wherever we're at. And, of course, lgkg.com. Go there. You kind of get a feel for who I am, what my credentials are, what I've done, what I look like. So if you see me on the street, like that woman a couple weeks ago, don't I know you? Maybe you do.
I like that suit. It looks nice, but not too nice, not too expensive.
Yeah, well, yeah. That's,
but it's expensive, but not too expensive.
Yeah, it's just... I have way too many suits. It's one of my vices. Some people have a vice, they gamble. Other people, they drink. Mine are clothes. My vice is clothes. I like nice clothes. So I got a bunch of them.
Nothing wrong with that.
Thank you, though. I appreciate that.
If you heard this interview and you missed something, don't worry. It's on Facebook. We are streaming it. It'll be on our Facebook page throughout the day. All right, Larry.
Thanks, Scott. Always a pleasure.
You too. Take care.